And then it's like for me, if you're allowing something to keep you from your destiny, why not wake up and say, yo, I gotta fix this?
Yeah.
And we all live.
I don't know if y'all can see me, but we here. Trying not to get hit. Get a little bit of that light. Ready?
Ready?
Alright, listen. We made the move up here to Albany this weekend. We got a great show coming to you guys tomorrow. Gonna be live on the Portaway Podcast. We're gonna be starting at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the amateur boxers. Some of the standouts out here that you can say, hey, this gentleman, this young lady might have next. We're gonna take an hour intermission. In that intermission, we're just gonna talk boxing. So the amateurs will go for about an hour. We'll take the intermission. The intermission will be an hour. And then we're gonna move back into the pros, which you guys all came or want to see, which is Mazi, Kazir, Goldston. But tonight, we got a barbershop episode coming to you guys. It's been a minute actually since we did the barbershop episode. I feel like the last barbershop episode might have been here. Let's see what's going on in Schenectady, New York. What's going on? What's going on? What's up with it? What's up with it? What's up, sir?
How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How you doing, man?
I can't complain. Good to see you again, man.
What's up with it? What's up with it? What's up with it? Yeah, we gotta cut that music. Yeah. What's up, big man? Messing up the cut, man. My bad. How you doing, sir?
Brother, I'm
doing
right.
good. Moray?
I'm Cali Buzz.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cali
I'm
Buzz.
the owner of the establishment.
Yes, sir. I hear you. What's your name again?
Cali
Buzz.
Yes.
I got you. Good to see you, sir. Yeah. Come on, we gonna move this way. We gotta cut it all the way. Yeah. We gotta cut it all the way. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Is this in here? You in here tonight?
No, Ray's on his way. The other barber.
Okay. He late.
He's always late to the party.
Oh, you cutting too, huh?
Yeah, he's always late to the
What's
party.
up? What's going on in Schenectady? I'm trying to get this. Which one is this? Okay, so this is the hose. Oh, Cahos. Don't laugh at me, damn it. I'm trying to figure it out. So what's going on in Cahos? Nah, you could have answered the question. What's going on in Schenectady, huh? Not too much.
Football team just went crazy for the Belmont team, but ain't nothing going on.
Is that high school football?
Nah, it's under 13, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. You good with the camera?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Are you a part of that?
No. I know Sid knows a few people that are part of that.
Okay. 13U football.
I think it's 13.
What about Cahos? Sir, how long you been around here?
I've been out here 15 years. Cahos is on the come up. We thriving out here, if
You
you
sure?
know what I mean. Yeah. My soul sister just opened up across the street.
Okay.
So I got somewhere to eat.
Yeah.
How
long she
they
been
putting
open?
up new apartments, so I got a lot more clients coming in.
Nice.
So it's coming up.
Yeah. How long you been in this building right here?
15 years.
Oh, you been in here for 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched this nigga grow up. I watched a lot of kids grow up, have kids. I
Yeah.
seen people come and go.
Yeah.
Just being right here.
I feel like that's like the life of the barber.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, watching everybody grow up.
Yeah.
The neighborhood.
Yeah.
I just said that to somebody else the other day. I was like, yo, I watched your kids, I watched you grow up and your kids grow up.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm your dad.
Yeah. Yeah. How's it feel to do that kind of service to a community?
That feels good.
Yeah.
It feels real good. Like,
yeah.
I don't see myself as a staple yet.
Yeah, you talking like you is.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
When people ask for directions, this is like the landmark.
Ah.
You know, they say,
Yeah.
know where the shop is at?
Yeah.
From there, they give directions.
That's what's up. What up, Sincere?
What's going on?
Man, somebody called me the other day. First name was something, the last name was Sincere, and I just assumed it was you, man. I said, I'll get back to you. And then I hit Mile to find out if it was your number. It wasn't your number. I was like, I don't know you. Yeah, you go back to ignoring the way that I did before. Figured out who it was at some point, but you know.
Oh man, everything's healthy, man.
Yeah.
Everything's healthy. We all blessed.
When I last was here, it was in January. So it's
I
been.
think it was March.
No, it was January. I looked it up. Yeah. I looked it up.
Okay, yeah.
So we coming up on a year pretty much.
Yeah, man.
And you know, for you with is your show, is it a podcast, a YouTube show?
Oh, you can say both.
Yeah.
You can say both. Sophisticated Ignorance is a YouTube show and a
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
You know, for sure.
How's it going?
It's going great. It's been, obviously, I have a lot of people that I'm fans of that already do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
following that business model has been wonderful.
Yeah.
It's been, the consistency is tough.
Yeah.
You know, getting people on the same page at, keeping people on the same page is very tough, man, because people got so many things going on, so many different things they're into, but it all works out, and when you stay consistent, hell of a year. We started off with, you came on the show, and then T-Rex came on the show. And
I felt like I was one of the first. Am I wrong?
you were right after Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
man.
Yeah, it was right after Lawrence Taylor.
Is he from here?
No, I don't think he's from here. He was doing an autograph signing in Crossgates Mall.
Yeah.
And we know the owner, and he was like, "Look, I can't promise you nothing.
Yeah.
But if you just show up and be available."
Okay, yeah, I got you. Yeah.
If you show up and be available,
Yeah.
we'll see what can happen. And we waited like we were scalping tickets at a
Like
concert.
anybody
man.
else, right.
We just 100% waited, and it worked out. And
Wow.
Lawrence Taylor, I watched every documentary, read every Lawrence Taylor book, everything. I didn't know how long it was gonna be, but I asked him a Any Given Sunday question, and once he seen that I had like true knowledge of him, he was like, "Oh, okay." And then he talked to us for as much as he can.
Yeah.
And then like it ran right back to back, and I'm like, I didn't even know this was gonna happen. Like I came to just support my guys at the gym and the amateurs. And they like, Sean Porter's gonna be here.
Right.
And as my brother Chef knows, I was just watching your fight.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he like, wait, from the fight you was watching last
Right,
night?
right.
That's how God worked, bro.
I summoned it. Right.
Literally, manifestation. What you Zytel, what you guys do up there, I'm a big fan of. So
yeah.
This is surreal.
Let's stay on Sophisticated Ignorance for a second. Why did you name it Sophisticated Ignorance?
Ah, man. It started to feel like in life there wasn't much of a balance.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And I feel like in life we're sophisticated to things and we're ignorant to things.
Yeah.
But life is all about balance. So I wanted to make it okay to be human again.
Yeah.
A lot of athletes, actors, artists were just going through this process of just dealing with scrutiny, saying the wrong thing, or somebody released some audio or any troubling information about them, and everybody was just getting scrutinized.
Yeah.
So I'm like, can we get back to being great, giving people grace? Can we get back to it's okay to be ignorant to things? It's okay to learn. It's okay for growth.
Bro,
that's pretty much how the podcast started.
Isn't there a saying, ignorance is bliss?
Absolutely.
Isn't that a saying?
Absolutely.
I feel like that's how my life is. I stay away from. I'm really not on social media. Not enough. I don't go looking for it. I'm not thumping on it trying to figure out what we're gonna talk about on the podcast this week and stuff like that. I'll hit my guys. I'll hit Zytel like, hey, what you think about this week? If it ain't, the boxing week ain't heavy or something like that. What you think we should talk about? And we come up with the game plan for the show. But I feel like that ignorance is bliss, man, because there's so much that I don't see. I'm just hearing this morning. I saw like something come up on YouTube that Tank got into something.
Yes, yeah.
But I'm like, is this Miami? Is this clickbait?
Yeah,
I'm scratching my head. Is this real? Now I'm scratching my head like, okay, I had a feeling this fight didn't make sense. Is this like the way out of the fight? Like, Like I'm thinking about these things, but at the end of the day, man, I think this world is in a position now where people put themselves and everyone else's life so much to the fact that it starts to really affect their own lives. You know what I mean? So
How do you come up with that, right? Because there's been multiple times on your show when they announced Mayweather and Tyson, and you're like, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Or when you said, I think you said it about Norman and Haney too. But a lot of times when you say it, it don't fall through.
It was Jake and Tank.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, it was Jake and Tyson.
Yeah.
And
it fell out the first time.
It fell out the first time, and then this situation with Haney and Norman.
Yeah.
Shout out to Haney. I went down to the media room the week of Crawford and Canelo and Crawford, however you want to say it, and I saw him walk in, and I was like, I just hope there's no loud noise. You know what I mean? That's never been my thing. So, be cordial is what it is, right? He comes and he sits down next to me. He truly did not see me. I looked over. I said, "What's up, young man?" And he said, "Oh, champ, what's up?" I dapped him up, and I was like, "God, thank you. Like, I don't want to deal with a young man feeling like he's being disrespected. I didn't say what I said to disrespect you. Kind of was put on the spot. Some information that I was putting to the team came out a different way, but when it came to that fight, and Haney moved up to 140, and he called out Regis Prograis. Again, respectfully, I felt like they were calling out the weak link. Do whatever you want to do, big dog. Yeah. I felt like they were calling out the weak link. Yes, he's a champion. Yes, he at that point only had one loss, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
If I'm not mistaken, he had one loss at that point. But I know what I'm looking at. I know from a stylistic standpoint, this is what we do in boxing. We try to find a style that looks best for us. I know from a standpoint of the belt that's right there on the line, and you don't have to go through the interim champion, and then the process that I had to go through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I did interim twice, and then I finally get a shot at the big one. I just looked at it, kind of is what it is. So when they moved up to 47, and they're going on that mantra of we always calling out the best, I felt like with that one, I'm like, this ain't what you want. I said that best don't make sense, because that stylistic matchup is much different from damn near anybody else at 147. Yeah. Especially there now at this present time. So that didn't make sense to me. And then we started seeing that they were, on the way of trying to get out, or there was
some speculation.
There was just some
rumbling.
Some rumbling, and to me it looked like this rumbling is backpedaling. You know what I mean? Nonetheless,
Norman hit hard, man.
We have a good fight on our hands with that one.
True.
Especially if we get a 2019, 2021, 2022 Devin Haney.
I don't know, man.
I really don't know. This morning, I've had different feelings about it. And this morning, I just felt like I'm not sure if he's going to let his hands go. I'm not sure if he's going to be himself, I did see a little clip. He was joking with the media that was there. Y'all said I was running, and, everybody laughs. And, hey, y'all called it running. And it's respectfully, big dog, you didn't throw a lot of punches. I don't know if you clocked more than 100 through the whole fight. And I'm used to clocking more than 50 around. So, that's a part of the game. You beautiful with your feet, and you made a slower guy miss. But what do you do when Norman, a little more athletic, or a lot more athletic than Jose Ramirez, when he can step and match your step, And so I think, man, I just want the best Haney to come. If the best Haney comes, it's a 50-50 fight. If the best Haney comes, this might be a fight where we hear in the corner, dad telling son that you gotta pick it up, and that's what we need. We don't need that. Thank you for taking it off. No. We don't need that. How you doing, me dog? We don't need
Very
that.
creepy.
So
Only part of this, you heard?
yeah, he said I got my gloves. Yeah, he said he a movie, huh? Yeah. Oh, that right there? I might be able to mess with that. That's smooth. You got that in here. Yeah, that's smooth. You got that in here.
So when you were sitting with Haney, it was smooth.
It was smooth, man. It was smooth. You know, we didn't say much after that, and then when you in that media room, it's just moving around, getting to different outlets and stuff like that. But I was grateful that I don't know if it had anything to do with his dad not being there. Devin has always been like just a straight guy, you know. But when you turn pro and you under this magnifying glass, a lot of times it does change who you are. Sometimes you feel like you got to change yourself to, fit the environment or to stick out in the environment and all these things. And I'm grateful that we didn't have any an exchange. It wouldn't
Is it too much critiquing in boxing? Like I notice fighters get really upset. I mean, if Sean Porter is speaking on me as a fighter, I want him to say all nice things.
I was
You know
gonna
what I mean?
say,
I want the greats to be like,
right.
Yo, because coming to 140 when guys go to different weight classes, I understand what you're saying in terms of the picking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But are you supposed to play dangerous like Terrence did and fight Madrigal? Or are you supposed to just fill out the waters? Because we seen it almost backfire with Mayweather and Castillo.
It's kind of
You know what I mean? That almost went very bad.
Yeah.
and
that's
he ended up in one of the closest fights of his life.
funny enough. That's kind of the thing, and I think that could have been the learning lesson for boxing. That we can't match our guys up against the guy that's tough but don't got these crazy accolades and this big old name. I saw something where Devin was talking about Boots, and he said, who was Boots?
Yeah, that caught me off guard a little bit.
That was tough
like,
language.
Wait a minute.
But check this out though. From a business standpoint, it's my guy. He gonna get there eventually. But who is Boots at this very moment from a business standpoint? But from a talent standpoint, you know who Boots is.
You knew who he was in the amateurs.
So but he had the right response. You know what I mean? Like he
That's
really
fair.
spelled it out in a way that
when guys start speaking about private negotiations, he said, "Oh, they want us to go to the 152."
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
is it possible that somebody can come back with the wrong information?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do you think guys like
For sure.
basically I'm asking? Do you think guys are 100% truthful when they are avoiding?
I don't remember my feeling or how the conversation came to me, but we got matched up to fight Adrian Browner. I don't remember how I felt, what I thought when my dad said that we were gonna fight AB, but it was like I known AB since we was literally since we was kids.
Yeah.
I mean 9 years old at least. So I've known him that long. So when he said we about to fight AB, I remember thinking like knowing who he is. Like I know the real AB. I know y'all know TV AB. I know where AB come from. The list goes on.
Yeah.
I know his style to the T. I fought against his style for years, even though I didn't fight against him. And cool, no problem. So my dad has always handled negotiations and stuff like that. My dad really never brought much to me. We would get to the point where he would tell me how much money and how many rounds and all that kind of stuff, but the fight is locked in. Mm-hmm. And we in camp. We a couple of days in camp. And my dad, I remember laying down. No. We got closer to the fight. This was not a negotiation that happened 6 months, 5 months, 2 months out. This is a negotiation that happened like weeks away from the fight. Maybe 3 weeks away from the fight.
Yeah.
My dad came in the room. I was living with my dad. He came in the room, salty face. He said, "Man, you'll never guess what they want you to do." I said, "What's up?"
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Wait, is it the catch weight?
The catch weight.
That hurt my feelings.
The fight was at 147.
I was just gonna ask you that. How did you feel about the catch weight? It was at 144.
Bro, this is a true story. This is a true story.
That blew me away when I heard that.
True story. And this was like weeks away from the fight.
Yeah.
I remember like being like already like in the process of losing the weight and all that kind of stuff. And that's probably why I was where I was at like mentally, emotionally. He looked at me, he said, they want you to make 144 pounds.
Yeah, man.
And I looked at my dad, I was like, all right.
It is what it is.
My dad said, you good with that? I said, whatever. And that's how I know how far close it was, because I was at a point where I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to deal with nothing. The fight is almost here, whatever we need to do. And I remember thinking that, like, whatever. And that's how I handled it. You know what I mean? So you can do one or two things. You can either bark at it or you can accept whatever's coming at you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying guys don't believe in their skills, their talent. I'm not saying guys don't, think that the other guy got upper hand or anything like that. But to me, when you this is something that used to happen in the old school days. You fight whoever they tell you to fight. Yeah. And, that was part of the reason why I fought everybody, because I fought whoever they told me to fight. So we maintain that old school mindset in a lot of ways. That's where my dad comes from. That's who he is as a person. So y'all really saw, like, that's why it's the Porterway podcast, because you really get to see who I am. Yeah. How I think, you know what I mean? The spiritual aspect of my life, you know what I mean? And all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's where it comes from.
What was your game plan for the AB fight? Was it that he was a little gun shy? Because like you was feeling him out, and then you put the pressure on him, and then you had him moving backwards, and you had him very uncomfortable. Sorry, AB. You had him very uncomfortable. Yeah. And I looked at my sister and I said, "It's over."
It's been quite a few.
It's only round 2. I said, "It's over." I'm telling you, he's not gonna find his comfort zone. Yeah. And Sean's not gonna let him find his comfort zone.
He wasn't comfortable. Funny enough, because we didn't go right at him, and that's what when that's what you're expecting. And even though you see me box as an amateur, you're foreign to it because you're used to seeing the muscle and you used to seeing me come forward and all that kind of stuff. So I felt like a lot of guys were always like, okay, when's he gonna turn it on? Yeah. I feel like that was the thing with Bud for like 6 rounds. Yeah. Bud was like, when is he gonna turn it on? Eventually, Bud was like, he ain't turning it on. I'm gonna turn it on. Yeah. But with AB,
did you look over at Mayweather?
Nah, yeah, he was there. Yeah, I remember him being there. Yeah,
Mayweather's expression changed as the rounds would continue. I'm like, I wonder if Sean just looked over at one time.
When I fought Errol, he was in the stands. He was right there by the ring when I fought Errol. Yeah, and I remember thinking, I'm about to put on a show for this man. I remember thinking that, like, I'm about to. I'll never fight him, but I'm about to put on a show for him. And I feel like I never saw any interviews of him after the fight or nothing like that with Errol, but I feel like that was something he probably looked at and was like, yeah, the dude can do it, Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's my thing. Like, I never wanted to be the greatest. I just want you to know how good I was. You know what I mean?
True story, man.
But with AB, my dad was like, he said, we ain't going after this kid. If we go after him in the first round, we gonna be chasing him all night. It's gonna be an ugly fight. He said we gonna get him comfortable. Let him throw a couple punches. Don't get hit. He said, but block. Be responsible on defense, but don't turn it on. He said, Sean, if you turn it on, it's gonna be a long night. And I think we had a moment like in the first round where it was just like it was there. You gotta take it, But after it was done, it was like, okay, go back to the middle of the ring and just use that in and out and basically let him know I'm not coming. Let him know I'm not coming after you. And then after a little while of him kind of settling into. It's like I like to say, once you get a train moving, it's hard to get it to stop, Yeah. So once a fight starts to run in this flow, a lot of fighters aren't good at changing that rhythm and that momentum, And, certainly he wasn't, so.
You got any advice for my cousin? Because he's making a comeback fight.
Okay.
In the amateurs.
Okay, yeah. I can tell his ass ain't making past the amateurs. Yeah. I knew your ass ain't making past the amateurs. Yeah.
That's because I DJ.
Okay, that's what's up. Oh, okay, that's taking over. Yeah, you working at night, so you can't do your thing.
No, so like, I've always been in love with boxing. My mom didn't want me to box when I was younger, so I stopped.
Yeah.
And I just pursued the career in music because I knew she wasn't gonna be able to fuck me up on that.
Uh-huh,
Like I wouldn't have accepted that.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with her. I said, "Listen, you said I can't do this. You can't tell me I can't do this."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I actually built a pretty big career for myself out here.
Congratulations, man.
As a thank you, bro.
Yeah.
As a DJ, I'm like one of the biggest DJs. Out
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Coles or in?
No, in Albany.
Oh, okay, in Albany.
Well, the upstate region.
Yeah. Okay. They're calling you to go everywhere, huh?
Trying to get there.
You could have got on the car tomorrow.
I am. I'm DJing.
Oh, no. I'm talking about boxing.
Oh no,
Yeah,
hell no.
it's a.
No,
I'm just kidding, man. It's a pro-am. It's a pro-am. Yeah.
No, me and Ty was talking about it. We
Yeah.
had some conversations.
Yeah.
But they wanted me to DJ too.
Yeah.
So I said I ain't DJing and fighting.
Ah, man. Yo.
I gotta pick one.
Yo, do this for me. I gotta go gear up real quick.
That would have been dope though.
Play the next song.
That's how I am, big dog. That's how I am.
That would've been
Yo,
dope,
you
though.
got it. You got it. Yeah.
But yeah, man.
I've been training kids, right? Yeah. And they between like 12 and maybe 16 or 17. And these kids, I got a whole Hawaiian crew. One white girl. And everybody else is Hawaiian. And these kids are athletes, bruh.
Yeah, man.
I just always thought it was football. You know, no disrespect to them, but I just always thought it was football. I was telling somebody the other day, I said, the way these kids retain information, I said, it's mind-blowing to me. I'm used to telling somebody to make an adjustment, and you do it when I say it, you might do it again, but then you kind of slowly go back into your old way of doing things. Mm-hmm. These kids make adjustments, and then they do it.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't really go back to the old stuff that they were doing or whatever. It's been amazing working with them, being with them, it's family.
That's dope though.
But we starting to spar again, and these kids long, can box. These kids is good for like no fights and all that kind of stuff, but
super athletic.
I'm yelling the same thing, and I told them all, I said, listen, we haven't been sparring in a long time. We don't get to move around the ring the way we need to. The best thing to do is start with the basics and move from there. Just the jab. I don't want to see the right hand and putting the hands down and all this kind of stuff. You're not that good. I love you, but you're not that good. In order for you to get that good, you have to start with the basics and build from there. And I've gotten the kids to do that. Start with the jab, the double jab right hand, the 1-2, and we build. But the other day, somebody wanted me to check out their kids, so I came in early, put my gear on, did my thing, had my gear on when my kids came in. And they're not using that jab the way I need them to use that jab. I say, yo, get out. I get in, you know what I mean? And I just show them, like, this is what I mean. Don't stop moving. Like, you got to keep moving. You got to go left and right. You got to mix it up. And how many times did I jab and go head and body? When you jabbing, you're stopping your opponent from coming at you. I said, you guys got to start learning how to use this broomstick and keep it out there and keep somebody off of you. You know what I mean? But to the point of, man, I was a coach and a boxer that day, so you could DJ in.
Yeah, he right.
We can get in the ring tomorrow if you want to.
Yeah.
Listen.
They're trying to take him open off the rim. Every time he start moving the ring, we like, hey, let's go open. Let's just go.
These dudes are just nuts.
You nice? You nice?
Listen, I'm not the type of person in the stuff that I do to ever classify.
Yeah.
I just do the work
Yeah.
and let the people tell me what I need to work on. Or you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love boxing, man.
Yeah.
So I coach a lot, and then the pros that are on the card and the amateurs, these are guys that I've known since we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
So just watching them come up and already having a history of helping them out through the fights, I'm like, man, listen, the only way I could up my coaching game is to have more experience in the ring. So I was like, man, fuck this shit. I'm getting back in the ring. Like, what's the worst they're gonna tell me? No.
Yo, real quick, shout out to Matt Bergeson. I think he lives in the city. Not exactly sure, but I know he's out here in New York. But one of the most faithful followers we got on the podcast. I thought you wasn't coming back to New York, my guy. Let's go, New York, baby. You wasn't paying attention, man.
Matt.
I told you
Shout out to Matt.
on the last show. I told you that we was coming back up here, man. I'll let you know next time we coming through.
Would you train a pro?
I got one pro that I'm working with right now.
Mhm.
It is Marquise Taylor.
You already did one of his fights already, right?
Yeah, just
Okay,
one.
yeah,
Just one.
That was
We-
last year?
Yeah.
If I sound like a stalker, my bad.
No, but I mean,
My bad.
I hit this dude. Today is Friday. I probably hit him on Monday or Tuesday, and I'm just laying down. It's the end of the night. Kids is jumping around. And I'm just thinking about him. I'm like, how can we make this happen? And I hit him up. I said, yo, let's just start going around the U.S. Just going in the gym, sparring guys. And I said, we'll just show it on the podcast. I said, we got to keep you busy. We got to keep you somehow like in. People need to know that you're here.
Right.
Contract disputes and all that kind of stuff has plagued his career as it does so many. And, I look forward to an opportunity to get ringside again with him. I literally thought, I was like, in my mind, I thought I was going to be a head coach of football. And I'm just going to stand here with my hands in my pocket and just watch him. They like, you got to sit down. I'm like, I don't want to sit down. You know, like, so I kept jumping up and they kept telling me to sit down. But I really enjoyed the experience of being able to coach somebody in a fight. That was cool.
That's a beautiful
Yeah,
thing, man. 'Cause
that
the
was cool.
pros, I feel like when I was younger, the early 2000s in boxing, like I remember Buddy McGirt, who's my favorite coach, was a fighter, and then he started coaching. You know, Roger Mayweather, fighter, coach, this goes on. And then somewhere along the way, we stopped seeing fighters. We stopped. It's almost like fitness trainers started to become coaches, and then I stopped seeing fundamentals. I stopped seeing the jab, which is the most important punch. I stopped seeing changing levels with the jab. I stopped seeing distance. I see the talent. I seen Frank Martin with Buddy McGirt, and I was like, oh, this is what I'm talking. Like finally,
Right.
He I feel like he gets it. He
Right.
understands. Like, get a coach.
Yeah.
That get a coach that either used to box, that devoted his life to this sport, or
Yeah.
has been a part of it before you were even born.
Yeah.
Like, why did they stop hiring?
I'm
those
not,
guys?
I'm not really sure what you look for when you're looking for a coach. So when Marcus came to me, he, I asked him, I said, yo, why me? He said, man, everybody tells me I fight a lot like you, and you've been to the top. I said, my dad is around the corner. He said, yeah. He said, but you know everything your dad know, but you've also done it in the ring. And sure enough, like me and him click like crazy, and it makes all the sense in the world, man. I look forward to trying to get him to a world championship title, but I think did you see Tim Tszyu is coming over here?
Coming where?
Over here to the States.
Like full time.
He's gonna spend.
Coaching?
I think he's gonna maintain his residency in Australia, but he's gonna be over here like a good 4 or 5 months out of the year, something like that.
Nah, I didn't know.
And he picked up Miguel Cotto's trainer.
Which one?
In Miami, guys in Miami. I don't know his name off the rip.
All right.
He went out and worked with Abel Sanchez.
Yeah, that's a good pickup.
I don't remember who else he worked with. And of course, when I heard he was coming over here, I said, let him know that I'm available, because I do feel like I could get him where he needs to go. I hope that this coach that he picked up now can get him where he needs to go. But to the point of, he didn't come over here and just, go where they told him to go. He went over here and he bounced around the States and found some of the elite trainers, and he felt them out. And as I heard, he went and worked with this guy in Miami, left, worked with him again, left. I think he might have worked with Abel 2 or 3 times, and he really
Feeling it out.
yeah.
He putting the work in though.
Not everybody has the opportunity to do that, A lot of guys nowadays, you working with what's in your neighborhood,
Tough conversation. I seen the rematch with Fundora.
Yeah.
And I don't even. I never want to disrespect a fighter. I'm not from that.
Yeah.
But I did look at him and it felt like I saw somebody who was broken.
So when I said I would work with him, this came from a place of me knowing that I see his fundamentals aren't where they need to be. And I come from a fundamental background. That's what we do. Just like you just heard me about the kids. If the jab ain't working, nothing's gonna work. You know what I mean? And that's where I come from. I came from the school of my dad getting us in the ring sparring and saying nothing but jabs today. Now I know you're throwing a jab, and I know your jab is longer than mine, and you faster than me, and you know I'm throwing a jab. Like, why would you do this to me? But it was a challenge. Make it work, you know? And it was rounds and rounds of make it work. And that wasn't just one session through my life. That was very often because my dad wanted everything to be perfect, as precise as it could be. And so I knew that from that perspective, I could help him with his fundamentals, but bust it. I'm certified to do life coaching. So I've taken psychology courses and stuff like that. When you're talking about a young man that's broken, and if he's not broken, he certainly needs to be built up. I know that I have what it takes to build him back up to where he should be before a big match. The kid has a name, so he's still, 3 rough fights in 4, like 3 out of 4 fights were like, you got drugged, like, you know what I mean? Like, dang,
Sean said it, not me. So
yeah, like,
he's more credible in the situation.
Let's be honest, like, you know what I mean? Like, some fights you had like a lump here, lump here.
He looked at his dad.
Yeah.
And that moment hurt me.
Yeah.
When he looked at
Montezalia.
And seen the disappointment.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who he was looking at first until they turned the camera around. I said, "Oh, his father."
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, and his father was one of the greats. You know what I mean? Especially out of Australia. So I would like to see you in his corner. I would like to see him because he was supposed to be the boogeyman.
Yeah.
And there was rumblings of Charlo not one.
I'm gonna keep it 100. I wasn't buying it. I know that he was. I wasn't buying it. I know he was supposed to be the boogeyman. I knew that after he I think I forget what fight he had, but I said Charlo ain't getting in the ring with this dude. I said this dude been moving and grooving, and you are not about to step on the dance floor, and you ain't even put your shoes on in forever, So I knew that fight wasn't gonna happen, but I just knew that he didn't have everything that's required once you make it to this level, I kept telling him to stay in Australia. I've been over there like a good 7 times. Yeah, I've been over there about 7 times to broadcast him and to broadcast his brother. So selfishly, I'm like, yo, bro, stay here, man. They paying me good. You living the life over here. You a superstar. But everybody wanted to see him on the next level. And I just think it was too much at one time. I think hindsight's 2020. And again, if you have someone who can see between the lines and analyze between the lines, me bringing him over here to the United States, fighting Terrell Gosha in the States wasn't enough. We need to put you on the undercard and make you the first fight of the TV or the fight before the co-main, where there's enough people in the stands that don't know who the hell you are, and they're just here.
So you got a plan.
You got a plan, and they didn't plan. They came over and they were trying to get the best, the elites. And if I'm not mistaken, they came over here for Keith, right? And ended up getting Fundora in the first one.
Yeah.
So.
Is it over for Keith?
Oh man, don't do that to
I
Keith.
know that's your man. I'm just
Don't
saying,
do that to
Is
Keith.
it over? I know my brother Punch is watching right now. Like, see, I love Keith Thurman.
Yeah.
Is it over for Keith? It feels like the boxing is just not on his side. Either he's getting injured, and the other person's getting injured. Fundora got injured. I'm like, Keith, it might be time. Like what you said, the other guys sit next to me.
Yeah.
Don't sit next to me.
Yeah.
I want to see you, Danny, Aaron.
Yeah.
Whole episode.
Yeah.
Class on the portal.
I gotta make that happen at some point. I know I will.
Break the internet.
Yeah, I know I will at some point. But like.
Well, real quick, if we could, the conversation that me and you had, can you please expound on what Sean Porter did in 47?
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. Me and Malcolm was having a conversation. We were talking, and I was telling him, obviously when we were, and I'm gonna fully break it down. You know what I mean? When we were younger, there weren't that many promotional companies. You know what I mean? A lot of the same fighters were under the same banner. There wasn't like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different promotions. Then it all got divided, and then now there's a multitude of promoters. Now you're learning names, Aram, Heyman, you just go on and you name it all these guys. And everybody has their own plan for their guys. And I think in that situation where we were lost, Sean gave us direction. And I'm looking at old Facebook posts and memories of me quoting these same things in 2018, 2017, because he never allowed the sport to rest on his laurels. He never allowed the sport to stop. And I don't know if that was your intent, Sean, while you were doing it, but as I said, you gotta make him the face of the era, because every important question in that time period, he was a part of the question and the answer. When it came down to Adrian Broner, like, oh, he messed up in the Maidana fight, he didn't take it serious. Now we gonna see who Broner is. Sean answered that question. Nobody wants to fight Errol. Danny don't want to fight him. Keith don't want to fight him. This is what the people saying. He sat in the ring and he looked at Errol. He said, "Do I look concerned?" And he fought Errol. Nobody wanted to fight Errol until Sean fought Errol. Literally, Bud's at top rank. They can't figure it out. And nobody wants to go over there. This street, that street, that street. I don't go. And that's what segued into Terrence and Errol. So you cannot speak on that era without speaking on this man. And when I saw your name on the Hall of Fame ballot, I was like, just do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank
There's no
you, man.
better ending than that.
Thank you, man.
That's the truth. Absolutely.
I know that people may have heard me say this. I turned pro in 2008, and I remember having a conversation with my dad. It was in 2008, I believe, and he was like, 30, and you're done. And I didn't understand what he was talking about. You know what I mean? I'm young. I'm 21. I'm 20 at this point, going on 21. I'm young. And he explained to me what he meant. And I don't want you struggling to walk. I don't want you struggling to speak. I don't want you struggling to remember things. And that's what this game will do to you. I'm going to be your manager. I'm going to keep you safe. Just listen to me. Do what I tell you to do. We're going to get there. By the time you're 30, I want you to be ready to move on with your life. And, again, in retrospect, hindsight's 2020. We didn't know how long it would take to get where we was trying to go. And I believe I was 34 when I retired. But for me, it was kind of like racing to the finish line. And that statement will make sense to people when they start to see more of what I'm doing now. Right now, it's just the broadcasting. Right now, it's just the podcast, and we started the suit line. That wasn't even on the list, but seeing how well received my style of dress was, and knowing that I had connections that nobody else has, and me and Malcolm talked about it, and he said, yeah, let's do it, and it took him a little while to really get me to wrap my head around wanting to provide people with suits and stuff like that. But we have fun when we go and suit people, and we have fun when we looking at suits and looking at fabrics and all that kind of stuff. But my dad didn't raise me to be, no disrespect to anybody else, but one note. He didn't raise me to be interested in one thing. He raised me as and my mom raised me as this well-rounded individual. My dad was more so pushing everything that would make me successful. My mom was more so I just want you to be a great human being. And of course, I'm going to make sure the grades are good. I'm going to make sure that you're, carrying yourself the way you're supposed to. Didn't like me leaving the house with my pants all the way down. I would leave, and now they come down below my butt, that kind of stuff. I was a kid, But they both really just, for my mom, boxing was not her thing. So for her, it was I don't care what you do. I just want you to be happy, enjoying your life, and do whatever you do it for God, And my dad's thing was, how can I get you to a better life? And it ended up being boxing, where I just thought it was going to be football, ended up being boxing. But when I say I was racing to the finish line, I had a plan, and I knew everything that I'm doing now. And I knew that in order to get there, I had to go through this. This is what I call the fire of my life. It wasn't easy by no stretch of the imagination. Just like me going to 144 pounds to fight AB. That was not in the plan. And I was telling our friend last night, my dad said, we're going to get you to 147 pounds. We're going to make it one time so that you can clock in at that division. Once you solidify you're a welterweight, we can start making fights catch weights. We can catch weight 149. We can catch weight 150. We can catch weight 151. We can do whatever we want until you get to a title shot. When I went to 147, I ain't never go to 148 and nothing. I ain't never had no fight at no catch weight or nothing. My dad always put me in the fire, you know, and I was always ready for the fire. So that's what it was for me, man. And it was like a part of me turning pro, man. The impression that the Four Kings had on me, without knowing the history, but just seeing the fights. And this is the blessing in that for me. I don't know how I remembered and I saw the crowd. That's what mattered to me. And that's how I am now, man. Whatever I do, I need people to see what I'm doing, man. And I know that it's because I want people to see how real God is. You can see how real God is through me, you know. So that's what it was for me, man. And I felt like it wasn't gonna be done if I didn't fight against the best. And it just so happens that all the best was on my side. And it just so happens that all the best was getting injured and having other things come up, and you know. But
I want the chat to get me.
Yeah.
Keith definitely like birthed the PBC. Like it blew up after that fight from a consumer's perspective. And then you fought Ugas, where I don't think Ugas gets arrow if he don't fight you. But one thing I literally specifically wanted to
Ugas doesn't get arrow if Ugas doesn't fight me.
Yeah, if you don't fight Ugas, I don't believe he gets arrow. That's an opinion thing. That's not facts. But I've been seeing Ugas. You see guys on undercards.
You know, Ugas had a name.
Yeah.
And
like before.
Did the name move after fighting me?
Yes.
It moved.
Yes.
Come on, man. It moved significantly.
That's what made him a star.
He said your slip made him a star. He wasn't no damn star. He said that made him a star.
I don't think his name was usable until you gave him the shot, and it just goes back to what I said in terms of what you did for that era. I know you were just taking it one fight at a time, one step at a time.
Yeah.
But I always tell people there's the boxer's perspective and then there's the consumer's perspective.
I think I might, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure when the conversation came about Ugas, knowing that he was Cuban and he didn't really have a name and he had quite a few losses at that point, he was trying to build himself back up. The conversation was simple. It was, yeah, he's your mandatory, but you know, there's always ways around that. Like, no, we'll take him. Yeah, like, no, we'll take him. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you something specifically. The night of, I'm on the phone with all my brothers. We all on the phone having a conversation, and we're watching the NFL draft, and we're watching the Shador situation happen.
Or him not getting.
Oh,
okay.
We're watching it happen, and then we see the Browns. And he was like, I wonder how the Browns fans feel. And I'm like, I wonder how Sean feels. I wonder.
Once we got him?
Yeah, like, how'd you feel about him dropping and then you guys being the team to quote unquote pick up the dumpster fire?
Funny enough,
it's gonna be a media.
I think this is the second year in a row that they didn't get to like literally sit down and watch the first two days of the draft. Usually I'm locked in for the first 2 days. No particular reason why I didn't. But when I found out that we had gotten RG3, I said, man, yo, Shador, this is RG3 and Kirk Cousins all over again. I said halfway through the season, something's gonna happen, and the other one's gonna end up playing. And my boy said the other day, he said, I like to see what Shador can do at this point. You know, I just know, again, I know the rumblings, and everybody felt like, or at least from what I heard, they felt like he dropped in the draft because of his dad. He dropped in the draft because he's gonna be a headache. And remember when Eli Manning got drafted? Dad stepped in. Dad's a former quarterback. Steps in and says, "We ain't doing that." I don't remember where he got. Did he get drafted to Denver?
No, he got. I think it was San Diego.
San Diego. It was San Diego, and then
Yep.
Yep.
Now, Dad, you know what I mean? You
Yeah. Yeah.
Ranks. Do you look at Shador and identify a bit with that? Being the son of a father that's in the situation publicly just as much as you are?
No, because I think me and my dad, we kind of grew into it together.
Okay.
Me and my dad, we grew into it together, and then it was like, we sitting here doing an interview together, and then the mic comes to my dad. It was never, starts with my dad, or was never, my dad took me to sit down and, enjoy it. I used to do it, It wasn't that kind of situation. So we both kind of grew and learned on that together. But let me read this question real quick. UTD 101, he says, Sean, what's your thoughts on fathers in boxing? I feel like Bill holds Devin back, and I feel like Tyson Fury doesn't work well with his because no one wants to see their son get hurt. And it worked for you. This is UTD 101.
Don't steal my questions, man. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Beat me to the punch, man.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
There's a fine line with like wanting to see your kid be successful, but then like wanting them to be the best and still not wanting them to get hurt. It's like you can only do so much without letting them get hurt.
Yeah.
You have to let them get hurt to get them to be better.
Yeah.
To get them to learn from that. So
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't have any experience in that situation, but that's just where my standpoint is on it.
I asked Boots' dad what he felt about how he felt about Bozy. I asked Bozy how he felt about Boots when does his thing. He said, "I don't worry about him." And I was like, "Yo, this dude really don't worry about his son." But I never asked my dad that. I've never asked my dad how you feel about me boxing or anything like that. My dad has certainly told me, "I'm not here to see you get hit." We've had those moments before. Get down. We've had those moments before, but I never stopped to ask my dad, like, how does it feel? I feel like you take the persona of the fighter. And my dad actually told me that. He said, you gotta take on the persona of the fighter. The fighter ain't rah-rah. You can't be running around rah-rah. It's not going to work for the fighter, So, Bozy, I think he just believes in the son. I think they got that Philly mentality. And Philly is a, kill or be killed kind of situation. So, I think that's their situation. Ain't nobody going to kill my son. He'll be just fine, you know what I mean? Yeah. But for my dad, I think my dad certainly, I don't even think I know my dad certainly had a soft spot for seeing me in the ring and seeing me do what I do. I know that there were quite a few matches, even as an amateur, big national tournaments, the championship night. He's nervous, things I didn't recognize as a kid, but when I look back on them now as an adult, I can see that my dad was nervous, and it wasn't nervous of, oh my God, are we going to win? Are we going to lose? Is he going to get hurt? It was just this nervousness of, I want my son to be successful, and I don't want my son to get hurt. It's a part of the game. And how I handled it, especially like the first one that comes to my mind is Keith Thurman. Like I knew Keith could thump.
Yeah, both hands.
When I tell you I knew he could thump without ever being in the ring with him.
Start looking oh my gosh.
Keith was from Florida, so like we never had any interaction. So when we go to national tournaments and he's in a different division from me, he's the only guy in the nationals that I see doing what I do. Flooring guys and them guys not getting up. And Keith would throw his stuff from his hip all the way like that. And it was cleanup time, like on some real stuff. So I always knew he could thump. But getting in the ring with him, I was like, I'm going to tell the story real quick, right? So I moved out to Vegas at this point. A whole bunch of PBC guys came out. This might have been before PBC was announced. This was after PBC was announced, but this was early. So this is 2015. And everybody is in Vegas for a Floyd fight.
Oh, okay. I thought this was with the suits.
No. You know about that shot. Yeah. That was after that.
I sound like a stalker.
It's like the first or second big shoot I did, man. I ain't had that much fun in a long time. But everybody's out there and they line us all up in a line. There's 30 of us. Like, you know how many people PBC had. And they want to introduce us to the crowd before the weigh-in. Keith shows up, and at this point, me and Keith is like, it's the race to Floyd, it's the race to Manny, them days, 2015, we right there, in the thick of it, big dog. The best of days. And they line me up, Keith is right behind me. They start calling people's names, and I'm a little socially awkward at points. or at least I was at that point in life. I still am, I think, at sometimes. So I'm trying to think like, what do I say? You know what I mean? Like, I gotta break this silence where I turn around to Keith. I say, so how you feeling, big dog? He says, man, what they don't know is I'm already ready to die. You know what I mean? Hey, this and that, and this and that. Shook me up. Cause I know at some point we gonna get it on. Man, when you turn around and ask somebody how you feeling and they say, I'm already ready to die. I remember my heart wasn't going like this, but it sped up. And I remember thinking to myself, this dude is crazy. I remember thinking like, yo, I gotta fight this dude? Like, I don't wanna fight this dude. I remember thinking like, I don't wanna fight. Like, you're not wrapped too tight, you know? But when the time came for us to fight, it was, I know what you're capable of, but I know what I'm capable of. The punch, I see everything coming. I've been trained. I'm gonna do it, you know what I mean? And it was big punches that were landing here and there by both of us. And it turned out to be a classic, man. But I tell people all the time, I say, you gotta ignore it. The punch that you acknowledge, while you're acknowledging that one, there's another one coming. You ain't got time for that.
True story. The one that you don't see. That's the one that always hurts.
People praise me for telling Errol, let's go. And I know I've told this story on the podcast.
Yeah, that was a moment.
I said it was two things, man. I was like, I was mad, and I had to make sure he didn't really come at me. So I said, let's go, like to let him know, like I'm ready for whatever you want to do, but don't run from me. That was the first defense. Let me talk to him. Yeah.
When he started dancing in the corner on the way on the come out.
I remember thinking you ain't gonna be dancing in a minute.
Because I thought that was like Sean is getting. Like, to me, when fighters do things like that, it's not in the literal sense of, oh yeah, he's chilling. He's dancing. I'm like, wait, is Sean getting there?
Yeah, man, he got the crowd going. I think I did get to. Oh, I know I got to him. You know, I know there was certain points in that fight where, things were done, and the maneuvers that were being made, they were frustrating him. I was legitimately a step ahead of him until that punch. And respect to that punch, I was even ahead of him in that punch with that punch too. The round before, in the corner, before that round starts, I'm like, I don't know what the score is, but somebody got to get knocked down. If somebody don't get knocked down, it's going to be a draw. And that's why I was so pissed that I got hit with that punch. Because I knew, yeah.
Like, how? Like, the ref is still trying to count, and it's like you was moving the ref.
I wanted it, man, I was that pissed. Like, yeah, you need it. Like, yeah, you need that rest, Yeah, you need that rest. I think that was the 11th round. And then remember going back to the corner, my dad was like, stay away from him. Don't need you going out there getting hurt again, to the aspect of, you see your son. My dad had never seen something like that happen to me before. Yeah. So that was like, whoa, But I can't, I ain't got time to think, whoa, you know what I mean?
You guys were, Buffalo, you had a question?
No, go ahead.
Hey, no. Introduce yourself, man. You came in here. You got gloves. You got shorts, and it's like 42 degrees outside.
I'm a boxer. I'm a big fan of you. I'm gonna say how it is. You're a warrior. You were never scared of fighting anybody. I always appreciate that about him. He never backed down. He always took the harder fights when a lot of people didn't want to take him. He put himself all the way, 100%. And today I was talking about your relationship, you and your dad. Yeah. And I said to Callie's cousin back there, I was like, him and his father got a good relationship, kind of like Danny Garcia and his father. Yeah. Is a lot of love there because your father's always really concerned about you. You see it in the fights. But I didn't know you fought Adrian Broner. Sometimes I came out of, I didn't see some fights. Yeah. The fight that you were fighting, when you were fighting Errol Spence, it was Errol Spence, right? Yeah. Jamaican dude, right from Texas, right?
Yeah, yep.
All right. You were giving him the business in that fight. Yeah. I was surprised because a lot of people didn't want to take that fight. Not even Keith Thurman wanted to take that fight. Yeah. Nobody heard it wasn't me. No, I said you tell me I said I didn't say it. A lot of people didn't want to fight Spence. And you said, you know what? I'm fighting him. Even who else? Mikey Garcia, I think, little Mexican guy.
He fought Mikey fought him. Yeah.
To fight Spence.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like you don't really see that too much.
Yeah.
The warrior, like
Yeah.
True warrior.
Yeah.
You know, not because he's here, because I'll say if he's not here,
Yeah.
if I never met you.
It's,
Yeah.
it's well renowned.
When
I
you
mean, that's-
fought Spence, I was almost had a heart attack, and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Because when you want somebody to win, you know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you-
yeah.
Like everything's on the line there for you.
Yeah.
A real boxer.
Yeah.
When he's watching a fight, you can't tell him to sit down. You can't get in his way either. He's watching that fight.
Right. Right. Right.
Now I boxed for amateurs. I did 5 years in Miami, Florida. I used to fight under Johnny Torres. Oh, and by the way, Ciroc that just left, DJ Ciroc.
Uh-huh.
Got some good hands on, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he boxed. He's doing the Masters tournament.
Yeah. Why not? Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, I knew him since he was a kid. I've been cutting his hair
Okay.
since he was a kid. I love boxing. I'm a boxing fanatic.
Yeah.
You know, my top 3 fights of all time was Tommy Hearns and Marvin Hagler.
You saw that live on TV.
Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti won.
You saw that live on TV. You saw those live on
I never
TV.
seen it live.
No, I meant like on TV. You,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you watch them like in the
I
moment.
watch boxing all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And who else?
All the damn time.
Pacquiao and Marquez. I just
Yeah.
like the matchups.
Which one?
The
Uh-huh.
matchups were beautiful.
Which one?
Marquez and what's his name? Manuel Marquez, I think.
Yeah, one in Pacquiao, but which
Yeah.
fight though? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
All
Oh,
of them.
oh, the
Yeah, but let me tell you something. Pacquiao was whipping him that last fight before he got knocked out dead. You know what I'm saying? He was whipping him real bad, like boom. That I started feeling bad, and I think he started feeling bad for Marquez, and then he just he put his guards down. Like, damn, I'm beating him up. You know.
Let me answer this question real quick. So, like, to the father and son situation, everybody's different. You know, everybody's mannerisms are different. Shout out to Mozzie Ghost. And you guys make sure you tune in tomorrow. We'll be live right here starting at 4 o'clock. And then the professionals, they get in the ring at 6 o'clock. We're going to have a intermission, 1 hour intermission around 5 o'clock. And we're just going to talk boxing just like we're doing right now. And then Mozzie is going to headline the event tomorrow. Mozzie and his dad, nothing like me and my dad. Or at least as far as I've seen.
Yeah. I understand what you mean.
Mozzie is not soft-spoken like me, or not as soft-spoken as me. He will say what he feels. He's going to express himself. I admire those traits in him because those are traits that I didn't acquire till I was late in my, late 20s, where I felt like, this is what needs to be done now. That's a big part of how the fight with Terrence happened because I was sitting on it. I told my dad, like, if I ain't fighting Terrence, I don't want to fight anymore. And my dad could see that I didn't want to fight anymore. But, I'll take that, But,
Is it
know-
tougher in public? Because it was 2 pivotal moments that I seen with you and your father. And one time I think he was doing an interview on Fight Hype, and he was he was having you go to the bottom.
Uh-huh.
And he was trying to tell you like rip at my body,
Uh-huh.
and you were like, no,
Yeah.
like I'm not hitting you like that. I don't know if you remember that, but I'm like,
He got hyped up,
Yeah.
and he was going through some health issues, and it was right there in the stomach. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no point in me ripping you to the body. This is what we do this for a living. I know, but I think he was in the moment. Yeah.
Like I only brought that up because it's like fans can read too much into things. Like
Yeah.
when we talking about Mozzie and his father,
Yeah.
because they're gonna head in that space too, where there's gonna be a microscope.
Yeah.
And it's like, was there something really there?
Yeah.
Or was it just, no, my dad just got hyped up? Because I remember the comments, they were like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Sean told his dad no.
No, I mean,
everybody
yeah.
Started, the internet.
That's funny. Nah.
Like,
Yeah.
analyzing and,
Yeah.
look the way he said it. Look how Sean turned away from him. I'm like, I didn't see all that, but all right. So,
Yeah.
you looking at a Mozzie and Ty, like, do you give that advice like, hey, the microscope is gonna be on you guys as well?
I haven't yet, but I'm hired myself as Mozzie's mentor. Of course, Malcolm has hired me as his mentor. Whether he has looked at me and said, you know what, that's my mentor. He may not be mature enough to realize that he needs a mentor yet, but we talked today, and we had a great one-on-one today, and he told me that he reached out to a lot of fighters. Keyshawn Davis, he reaches out to Terrence Crawford, and those names are great by me. Obviously we know some of the things that Keyshawn's been into, but for the most part, man, what I like about Mozzie, once you get past the skill, the dude got a good head on his shoulders, and it's just I know it. He gonna get there. The road for him is just hard, gonna be hard for a little while longer.
Is it because of his talent, his gifts?
Because it's
He
both.
got that mixture. He got the
You got the
fundamentals
talent, and then you don't got
gifts.
the money behind you that can support your talent. You know, so it's gonna be a long road for him. I'm hoping that this coming year, we amp up the things that we're doing, and it elevates him to a place where eventually somebody does look at him, whether it's Eddie Hearn or his Top Rank.
I believe
You know, he goes back to a Top Rank, or maybe he stays independent and finds someone who's willing to take that shot. Like Eddie Hearn, he got a fighter that's main eventing, and you know this guy is in line. Are you gonna say, all right, we got him, or we gonna find our way past him? You know, so Mozzie is gonna be a headache because he's that good. He's that mature at this young age. You know, but I think it just depends on the father and it depends on the son. For me, to the point of your question, UD, I think in my experience, there's an amount of respect that needs to be reciprocated both ways. And again, reflecting and analyzing my personal situation, what I've learned is that you never bridge the gap. If your father's 20 years older than you, you never bridge the gap of that 20 years. You're gonna always be a baby because that 20 years is always gonna be there. So dads have to make a conscious effort of realizing my son's growing up. This is who he is now. This is what he's into now. This is how I can help him. This is what he needs. This is what he don't need. He's pushing too much. You know, I think that fathers need to always be learning as the sons do, you know. And then to me, for the sons, it takes an amount of respect and humility to understand that, yeah, I am getting older. Yeah, I am maturing. Yeah, I am ready for this. But you truly have lived this life before me. You lived 20 more of them than I did. So you're ready for some of this stuff that I'm up against. And, you know, usually when it doesn't work out, it's because before you get to the X's and O's, it doesn't work out because that rift comes when puberty hits, and you know the dad still wants the kid to be the kid, and you know still wants the kid to be your son. I'm still your son. I'm just a different version of your son now, you know. But then when you get to the X's and O's, and I think this is the biggest part of that conversation. Not all dads can learn the X's and O's. Not all dads are born to teach. If you're not born to teach, that means you're not born to coach. Not everybody's born to lead. And in order to be a great coach, a great dad, or a great teacher, you got to be a leader. Not everybody's born to lead, you know. So it's an intricate thing that we deal with in sports when it's, you know, even a mother and a daughter, you know. And I think that, you know, as long as both are learning along the way, I say you're gonna be all right, you know. I saw after my fight with Danny, his dad yelled at him, "If you don't hit him with the right hand, I'm gonna hit you with the right hand."
Angel's crazy.
And I was just like,
That gotta be demoralizing to
I
hear,
said,
right?
I said the kid never had a chance. You can't speak in that fashion and expect someone to be able to operate and perform at optimum, you know. You know, and I was like, you know, hearing stuff like that, seeing stuff like that's what takes me back. But all in all, I think that dads, families in sports, it makes sense. I think it can work. You're looking at Dion. Dion is magnificent. And Dion is the kind of guy that he has to dumb down who he is internally, to fit whatever program he's dealing with. Right now he's dealing with Colorado, he's dealing with his son, but dumb it down because your son comes from you, but your son's not you. You know, sometimes you can't teach somebody how to think that fast and make them kind of decisions and all that kind of stuff, you know. So it does happen where, you know, some of the dads are a little more advanced and can't pull back on it, you know.
Yeah.
But man, my dad did a good job, man. He learned along the way, studious as a young man, and knew that he needed to continue to be studious. So I do think that that's why we ended up working
Does he want to continue to coach?
Yeah.
I know. Remember when Tank brought him on?
Yeah.
For the athleticism stuff. Does he want to?
I think he had a bit of an awakening to like realizing, like, you know, my dad's dealt with kids his whole life, but now you bring money involved. Now you bring TV. Now you bring contracts. Now you bring training 2 and 3 times a day. Now you bring in a nutrition and all these things. And I think when it was just me at the house, it was easy to, or not easy, but it was, you know, a little less difficult to manage. And my dad was like, "No, these dudes got to go." So I think he might be looking for a diamond in the rough.
So what you getting into coaching now?
Yeah.
Because you just broke down things you and your dad had in the corner. You just broke down what you saw happen to Danny Garcia.
Yeah.
What do you do in that moment when it's your turn, when your fighter is
Listen,
giving you what you want?
me and Marcus had a moment, right?
Already?
So he gets dropped in his fight and he gets up. It's no problem. And I knew what it was. I'm like, it was a flash knockdown. It's still a little early in the fight. He's still a little hyped up emotionally and stuff like that. Punch came that you didn't see, and that's just how your body reacted to that punch. That's not going to happen again tonight, and we're going to do everything we can do so that it doesn't happen anymore. That happened in like the 4th round or something like that, right? So a couple more rounds go, like maybe 2 more rounds go, and I feel like I see an adjustment that he should make. And so he comes back to the corner, and all right, big dog, I know as a fighter how difficult it is to make adjustments. I know how difficult it is as a fighter if you're asked to do something and you don't have total confidence in it. He comes back to the corner. I said, man, listen, this dude is waiting on you to punch. He sees you coming right at him, and he just wants you to fight with him. He thinks if you fight with him, he's going to get that opportunity again. I said, first of all, we're not giving him that opportunity again. I said, how you feel? He said, I'm good. I said, what do you think about using your feet, moving a little bit more, making him come at you? What you think? My man don't stand. He don't sit down in the corner. And he looked over at the guy. He was like, nah, coach, I don't think I want. I think I'm gonna stick with what we doing. I was like, all right, we're gonna stick with what you're doing, but you gotta be responsible defensively. You gotta throw your punches, and then you gotta make a move. You can't stand there. He's gonna hit you if you stand there. Don't give back everything that you get. So I'm good at compromising. I'm good with compromising. I'm going to always bring a level of respect and understanding to anybody, to a point where if there's something that's going on and we got to rectify it, we got to fix it. If you don't believe in my way of fixing it, if I can believe in your way of fixing it, and that point, me understanding how hard it is to make adjustments, this is something we don't religiously do, something I'm trying to teach him how to do. I can't ask you for you to do this right now. I got to let you be you, you know, so that's how I look at it, you know.
You give room.
Yeah.
You give room. Because that's tough. Some people want, let's do exactly what we went over.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's in all forms of coaching.
I can't imagine if
basketball, boxing.
I can't imagine we won't get to that point. When you game plan for a fighter and you have specific instructions, specific punches that you know you can't get hit with, when you're not doing the right thing, then you're just not doing the right thing. If we train for you to do this and we saw it being effective in training, why aren't we doing it right now? You know what I mean? Let's clear your mind. Let's take our deep breath and let's figure this out. You know, so yeah, with Marcus, you know, he's easy to work with. Great kid, great guy, and I do look forward to those moments where it's like, this is now or never, and that now is the way that I need it to be done. I'm telling you, trust me, and it's great when we got the kind of trust that we have in one another already. So
I have no coach. Coaching. All his kids just won the Super Bowls. My bad. Sean's in.
Oh, the football team.
Yeah, the Pop Warner.
What is it? U13? U13?
I got 12 U.
Oh, okay, 12 U.
8 U, 12 U.
Okay.
2 girls flags. So we got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
10 and 13 girls flags.
Oh, you got a whole army. Yeah. So everybody, like who? Oh, wait a minute. Everybody.
I believe there's 13 associations throughout the Capital District. We won all the rings.
That's what I'm talking about.
Every level. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 10, 13. Every level we put a team into, we won.
Wow.
Mind you, that's never happened before out here.
Yeah.
Ever. Not with 17s, not never all together.
Yeah. Oh, you from here? You born and raised out here?
Born and raised.
And you play ball?
Hearing
now-
what
and
Sean
now you
said
doing it
about
again.
Started
coaching,
playing pop
that's why I
one
wanted
at
him to, because
Yeah.
I know you just got into coaching. I coach fighters as
Yeah.
well on the amateur level, and
Definitely.
he's coaching. Is it all similar? Is it all the same?
Thing in, like fundamentals, all everything you guys are speaking on the same thing.
Yeah.
I heard and
It's just different for the age, you know. Yeah.
football. You was a football guy too.
Yeah, man. I love football, man. Still watch it all the time. Yeah.
So we got some athletes.
How is it dealing with the young kids?
The young with the 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, it's hard because you're teaching them the game. Now they don't. It goes local, regional, national for the Super Bowls. 8U, which is the first level of pads, they only go up to the region.
Mm-hmm.
Take the region, you're good. The other levels go up to nationals, but working with them is tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. They're just getting to know the game and putting pads on. So they start at 5 playing flag, but then they put the pads on at 8
Mm-hmm.
or possibly 7.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them 7
Mm-hmm.
if your skill level up there,
Mm-hmm.
you can do it. We only had a couple kids do that, but
Yeah.
right, it's
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you fought Spence,
Uh-huh.
how much were you walking around with? How much weight were you before the fight? That's what I wanted to know.
In between fights, when I like at that point, in between fights, I would get up to maybe 170,
170.
175 if I'm being a knucklehead.
Spence look 280.
When I start training, I would be walking around mid 60s.
Wow.
Yeah. Once we got to like go time is starting to go below 60, that's when it's like
Was it easy to lose weight? To lose the weight to make the fight?
I had my moments, man. I had my moments. I had a moment before I fought Ugas. I was like, I'm not gonna make this. And I was like, what's the point? Like, I'm done with 147. This is my last fight at 47. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. I had moments. You know, it's part of it.
When you seen, because you talked about you were like 170.
Mm-hmm.
When Errol called you out, where did you think his weight was at?
I don't know.
Because
I
I thought
don't
he
know.
looked like 200 and
Yeah.
I would say he's like 195.
like, you
He
can't
was
do a
like
fat camp.
So my dad
You can't do a
said,
fat camp and fight
my
short.
dad, and this was like, I was like, oh, okay, you're right. He would be like, you can't let yourself blow up in between fights. You're going to be on camera. People going to see it. You got to keep your weight low. So that was like another reason why my dad was always on me to keep my weight low. And I would go to fights, you know, fitting in the suit. And I'm like, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm here now. You know what I mean? But then there was other guys that really would show, like Errol, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You be making me nervous with your predictions because it always sounds like you know something the rest of the world don't know. And when you spoke on Errol and Terrence, you and Ward made me the most nervous. You know what I mean? And this was years prior. And I said, oh man, I feel like they know something now. I feel like they know something that the world don't know because you guys see each other and you're around each other.
I say Terrence is a hard person to fight. He's very
Oh, yeah.
unorthodox. He's
we almost out
left-handed. Well, he fights left-handed style, and he's just it's hard to fight him. You know, he doesn't make it easy for you. You know the way he fights.
He's quick.
No, it's just his stance. It's just the way that he fights.
Was that Bud
To me-
or Errol?
Terrence. Terrence
Oh,
Crawford.
yeah.
He's an unorthodox. He's not a normal fighter. I'm not sure if he's really a right-hander. Like De La Hoya was a right-hander, but he used to fight south where his right hand in the front of him, and sometimes that works. It works even better. But
Bud is like literally hamster dexterous.
Yeah.
He's like literally, he does a lot of things with both hands, even just around the house. But I think he's right-handed.
Yeah, he's a right.
he is
I
right-handed.
think he's
Yeah, he
right-handed.
fight left.
Yeah, I think he's right-handed. But
I'm happy you coaching, man.
yeah,
So you're a coach then.
yeah, man.
So that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like boxers, no matter if you fought, you know what you want your fighter to do. You're gonna see what he has, and you're gonna I'm gonna bring the best out of him. I know what he needs because you already know how to fight.
Been there before.
You've been there, so you already know. You're gonna be like, I see what he got, and I'm gonna bring his weakness out, and I'm gonna just make him a complete balanced fighter. But sometimes when you jump in that ring, everything changes. The excitement. That's why the plan doesn't go as well, even though you train for it. Because you get in there, and then the excitement kind of just blurs everything out. It's like like me. I was locked up. I said, when I come out, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And as soon as I start showing that freedom, I went right back to doing, you know what I'm saying? So I was distracted. I couldn't do everything I was planned. I guess it depends, you know, sometimes you get nervous before you get in that ring because, you know, I don't know, have you ever, but I used to, yeah. So you get nervous and you're like, but sometimes it works for you.
Mozzie asked me today, he said, I don't get nervous no more, man. Is that normal? I said, yeah, man, I never really got nervous. I said, different fights are going to command a different kind of energy, you know.
What's the last fight you got nervous with? If you could remember.
So, Coach Wade taught me this. I would always yawn before fights. And I'm talking about when I was an amateur. And I would always hide it. I always hid. You know, I didn't want my dad to see me yawning. I remember one time I was at the Nationals, and he saw me yawn. You yawning? I was like, yeah. He was like, you ain't got no sleep last night? I said, yeah, I slept. He said, man, you can't be yawning, man. You know, made something of it. But Wade told me that's a form of anxiety. When you yawn, like that's your body going through anxiety. And so I realized that, you know, I had a small level of anxiety before fights, but it was never anything that would make me shake or make me, you know, anything like that. The only fight I got nervous for, you will never, ever in your life bet the fight I got nervous for. Or guess. I'll give you 5 guesses.
All right.
Professional?
Yep.
Kell Brook.
Nope.
Paulie Malignaggi.
Nope.
No way.
And you know the whole catalog, too. Stick with the ones that you saw, not the ones you had to look for.
Okay, I'm going all the way down.
But it's going to be nope. So,
If you get it to end, you say if you get it to end, right?
yeah.
Oh, man. Granados.
Nope.
Thurman?
Nope. That's your guess?
Oh,
Yeah, I put the finger back up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Sebastian Formella.
Sebastian Formella. How early was that?
Exactly. That was right before I fought Terrence Crawford. It was
Really?
during the pandemic.
That guy?
That guy.
I'm not gonna lie. That one, I was like, oh, Sean got a nice tune-up before the time. No disrespect.
I don't even. I mean, I honestly, I don't know what it was.
Was it before?
I'm
Was
really.
tape?
It was all the way up until it was. It probably started like 3 weeks before the fight, and I mean, I'm in the locker room night of, and I still can't shake this feeling. I never felt like nothing like this before in my life. No.
Like, no, right?
I do my best. Like, I don't want to believe it was my dad getting in my head, but the way my dad trained me for that fight was literally, to me, unreal. He may not agree, but I thought it was unreal. I'm getting in the ring with a kid that's like 18-0 or 16 and something like that. Like 18-0, German. He's like 24, 25. He doesn't hold a candle to me. But you like dogging me in camp to get me to do all these things like this dude's a world champion. And I think his thing was, I don't want you to underestimate him. I didn't fight a lot of white kids in my career. All right, I get it. But I wasn't going to underestimate him. And I'm like, you know who I am. The only thing I can assume or understand, it's the only thing I think that makes sense is like what his feelings got in my head, in my heart. And it got to a point where I was like literally sick nervous.
You're sitting there like, why would he think that? Damn, now why should
I don't know what the hell it was, man. I don't know what the hell it was.
Sorry, Bird.
Bell rings. Yeah. Bell rings, and it's like, here we go. It's on. And it was gone. And then after the fact, I'm like, beat myself up. Like, yo, what's wrong with you, man? Like, you know, what you going through that for? You know?
I thought you were going to announce your retirement after the Arrow fight. When you start holding up that WBC coin, I said, oh, shit.
No.
That was after the Terrence fight.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, wait, is this happening?
Yeah.
Like, so the next fight, that fight, it just didn't look. And as you become a high level champion, the names got to be the ones that really wake you up. Like, if I beat this guy, you know, the world is going to know. If I beat this guy, I mean, they're just going to say, you know what I mean? So it just looked like a lack of interest that's just from a consumer's perspective.
Which?
You fought the guy before Terrence? Because I thought it was
the Formella kid.
Yeah. I thought it was just a lack of interest.
Yeah.
Did you stop him or did it go?
Nah, fight went 12 rounds.
Yeah, I just thought because you took. Yeah, I just thought it was a lack of interest.
Fight went 12 rounds.
That's the best
I would
way,
have
right?
never guessed that. Like,
And in the ring, you would you would never have thought that I was like nervous or worried or anything. I don't know what the hell.
Like
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
Listen, man, we could do this all night.
You already know.
You gotta come ringside tomorrow. Again,
Oh,
we
yeah,
here.
I'll
We here tomorrow, y'all. Make sure y'all tune in. Tell your friends. Tell everybody to tune into the Portaway Podcast. This will be our first time streaming some live fights, right? It'll be the first time with our equipment on the Portaway Podcast. This is, I don't want to call this an experiment, but this is the first time we have high expectations for ourselves. That's the Portaway. We're excited about it, and we want you guys to tune in. Hopefully, this is something that we can start to do to expose some of the great talent around this country that doesn't have the ability to get ESPN or some of the big trucks in their backyard. So hopefully this one looks the way it's supposed to. Promoters out there that's lower level, holla at us and we got you. Tune in tomorrow 4 p.m. And then we got Mozzie fighting in the main event. We got 1 hour of nothing. So my man Sincere over there with it's not Indespicable. Nah, what is it? Incorruptible. What is it?
Sophisticated ignorance.
Yeah. And we got my man Sincere over there with the big words. Sophisticated ignorance. You guys make sure you subscribe, like, all the good stuff. The dude is phenomenal, as you guys can hear. A great guy to be in here right now with us kicking it, and he's gonna kick it with us ringside tomorrow. We're gonna talk some more boxing. Make sure you guys tune in. This is the Portaway.
So Mozzie fighting tomorrow.
Yeah. Still putting it down. He gonna put it down.